Hi guys, JR here. For those of you who have been following along with us for the past few weeks, we are in our fourth and final week of our Overturned series. Now in this series, we've been studying the story of Esther, and we've been looking at how God's kingdom is not like an earthly kingdom. That God has a plan for each of us, and that He is working out that plan for His purposes and for His glory. That He has our ultimate best interests in mind, no matter what's going on in life around us. Now, in the story of Esther, we've run into a couple of different characters. We've got Esther, and we've got Mordecai, and we've got the king, and we've got this kind of slimy guy named Haman, and that's a lot of people to keep up with. So we're going to give you guys a quick review of all the things that have gone on in our story thus far.
Hi there! Uncle Mordecai here. I'm going to tell you about the story that you missed. So we have our characters. First, there's King Xerxes. He likes to party. And you have his right-hand man, Haman. He wants to be number one. Then there's my relative Esther. She becomes the queen. And of course, you know me, Uncle Mordecai. So let's dive right in. There's the king. He likes to party. And he's looking for a new wife. So I think, Esther, you should go for it. So she does, and guess what? She becomes the queen. How cool is that? Then there's Haman. He hates my guts. You know why? Because he wanted everyone to bow down to him. And I said, yeah, right. No way. So he goes to the king and is like, hey, king, let's kill all the Jews. And the king's like, yeah, whatever, man. So they're planning on killing the Jews, and I'm like, hey, Queen Esther, save us. So she goes, she throws a party with the king and Haman, and she's like, hey, king, Haman's trying to kill all the Jews. And the king's like, whoa, let's kill Haman. So Haman gets killed, and I get this cool new robe. How about that?
Now that's a really cool story. And I know we dress it up and make it really fun and silly at times, but it's a story about God's faithfulness to save His people. And one of the really interesting things about the story of Esther is that God is not mentioned at any point in the entire story. Believe it or not, if you were to go through and read the book of Esther, chapters 1 through 10, I dare you to do this, you're not going to find God's name mentioned anywhere the whole time. Now, that's what's actually kind of interesting about the book of Esther, is because even though God's name isn't specifically mentioned, He's clearly at work throughout the entire narrative, working in Esther's life and her actions, working in Mordecai's life and his actions, in the king, and even in Haman, to bring about His own purposes and glorify Himself. It's cool to me to think that God is using people who are faithful to Him, and even people who aren't faithful to Him, to accomplish what He has for us. Now, that's a really neat idea, and we actually have a word to describe that idea: sovereignty.
Hey guys, it's Audrey, and I just wanted to take a moment to break down the word sovereignty for you guys. I know it's a pretty big word, and I know it can be kind of intimidating sometimes when you don't really know what a big word means and everybody's using it. And so I just want to take a moment to break it down and make sure everybody understands that we're all on the same page. So sovereignty is used most of the times when talking about a government. It's talking about a government that can do whatever they want, whenever they want, because they are making all decisions and they have all of the power. They don't have to listen to an outside source. They don't have to listen to other people's opinions. We as Americans live in a sovereign nation. We make all of our decisions. We don't have to listen to outside countries weighing in and taking their opinions. We get to make our own decisions. The same word is used when talking about God. God is sovereign over all of creations. That means that He is the ruler over absolutely everything on this earth. That means all of creation, all of history, all of the people, all of the nations. He is sovereign over everything. That even means the little things, like my fish Jonah, or your left sock, or the popsicle you ate last week. God is sovereign over all of those things. He has total control and absolute power over every single one of those things. He is ruler, and He is sovereign over every single thing in our life.
Guys, God is sovereign, and the story of Esther is a massive testament to that fact. that even when things didn't look good from a human standpoint, God was at work the entire time, working with people's obedience and people's disobedience in order to bring about his own glory for the greater good of his people. Now, the book of Esther isn't the only place that talks about God's sovereignty. In fact, God's sovereignty is seen all throughout the Bible. One of my favorite passages is to look at Romans chapter 8, verse 28. It says that we know that in all things, God works together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. You see, God's not working for our good in some things. He's not working for our good in most things, but God is working for our good in all things. There's nothing that happens on this earth that God isn't in control of. There's nothing that God doesn't know. There's nothing that God cannot do. And so we know that in all things, that whatever happens in this life, God has a purpose. He has a plan. He is working for your good. And guys, that's such a cool thought. My prayer for y'all is that this week, as we go into our lives, wherever you find yourself, that you would remember that God is alive and at work in your life. There could be people along the way who really frustrate you. There could be circumstances in your life that are really hard to deal with. You might get to a place in your life where you don't know what to do and you can't see a way out. But guess what? God is sovereign. He knows all things, he can do all things, and he is working all things together for your good. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.